Hello and welcome back to another tutorial. I can see there's a small yeah. Well, hello again. Another tutorial in how to disassemble a lens and of course assemble it again. And this time it will be some sticky aperture blades or sticky aperture system. And it is this Ai-s NIKKOR 20mm 2.8. It's different made compared to the other 20mm manual focus. The way the focus system is put together, but yeah, you will see. But let's go into this old lens, and we begin with the rubber band, and take that off because it will be the start. So I could just have used a screwdriver or whatever, but to me it's more handy doing that with my dentist tool. Okay, well, inside there is a hidden screw, so we need to see something, at least some of the oh, just take it off. Because the lens has to be set on, come on, onto infinity to get into a hidden screw, set screw here. So set the lens focus ring onto infinity, and there you have the screw that holds the front nameplate, front ring. And I use a 1.2mm flathead screwdriver to get it off, and I fully unscrew it. Well, could be, is it possible? Yeah. And the focus ring, yeah. Well, it can just be loosen a little and then unscrew it counterclockwise. And you know where it come off. So let's see. Because the screw has to sit correct again. Let's see if it can come off somewhere. Okay. So it's actually come off with the Nikon name in line with the focus dot. There. Okay. Now the more tricky part. I use, to get the front lens group, I use a gasket for plumbers. It's quite handy because the rubber is very sticky. It's 56.6 millimeters diameter here. So and the lens has to set on near end before you can access the edge of the front lens group. So just put it on and do some gently brush. So that's it. Put it somewhere. You could use the rubber gasket to just put it on, especially if you turn it upside down, and just have it there. Very handy. Now we are inside the focus system, which is not as normal. And by the way, the first I can see somebody else has been in here, some scratches and so, but I make a mark here. Of course, I have been into this lens before today, just to see what I'm actually going into. So I set a mark here, and I set a mark in line here. So I know exactly where this piece of metal has to sit. Because this ring, I will take that out. So yeah, sit with 2 screws. And before I actually do that, I have put a mark here. You probably can see a mark here where infinity is. So I know exactly this point here, the edge of this gap. So I will end up with my focus ring, my inner focusing ring, when I put it on back in. So let's take this out. There's only 2 screws. And somebody else has put a mark here. I think it's a factory, but I'm not sure. But there's a mark here. And somebody else put a mark down here on the actual ring, which you probably can see move a little. So the screws are all JIS, Japan Industry Standard. This is just a PH, a Phillips screwdriver 00, which I filed and grind so it fits perfect on the screw head, cross head. Now let's continue. A tweezer is very handy, and let it out. So now, I can move the focusing ring without any problem, and the other ring that was connected has to come off 1 and almost 3/4 to get off. So 1 full revolution and something right down here. I put a mark where it came off, which is down here. As you probably can see, the small arrow. There, this ring will come off at this point. So let's go. That was 1. And next time it will come off when I come down to this arrow, which you probably can see, the small one. So this arrow will just go on, continue, and then I also put a mark here just to be sure it's exactly the correct point, because it will be very handy later. There, get off. So now we need the next ring, which is also part of the focusing system. And to do this, I use an old walking stick or a compass, which I grind and file, so it fits perfect in those 2 notches here. It can sit very tight, so better use some gloves. I mean, very sticky gloves to be sure there is no kind of damage to this. And remember, just to be sure about that, the arrow which I put on the lower ring here is in line with this one. It has to sit there when I put it back in. So let's go ahead. So it gets loose. And for make it easier to take this ring out, this is some sticky rubber, which is quite handy. I think it can fit over. Yeah. It will make it a lot easier to get out. But on the other hand, I need to know where this ring come off, and it will be at the same arrow. So that's quite handy. Don't touch the glass elements. So there it is. Just put it on rubber. So we are actually in the aperture system. I mean, part of it. So you see a lot of oil, which will make them a bit sticky. So when taking photos, it will be sometimes overexposed. Before I take that out, I have already put a mark on here, a scratch here, so I know where the aperture plate, where the blades sit, and on the back part of the lens screw holder. It's very important Now we go to the back part, which we also take the mount, but first the black part here. So that come off. Remember the orientation, well, it can only sit one way, there, the gap, where the aperture pin. And then the the mount with 3 screws. And it also to be a little aware of when taking off the mount. You see this little hook has to get engaged with this pin that goes into the aperture system. So we just lift it out gently. This is how it looks. And yeah, that's it. And then we have the ring that engages with the aperture ring itself. It can only sit in one way, so there shouldn't be any problem. And then we lift out the aperture ring. That was it. Now we have 2 screws. That sits here, and this one. And again, be sure to make your mark here where this plate sits correct. Oh yeah, another thing, we take out the spring, small spring here, so the blades will not pop off and go around. It's a bit heavy. Now put a finger on, well, in here, and just hold the aperture holding place. Well, maybe you should use some gloves. That can be very good sometimes. Sometimes not. So, put a finger in here and hold it as you unscrew the 2 screws. And there you will see how why I actually said it is important to make a mark on the aperture plate in here, because the holes here are not only round, they are long. So where does it sit correct when you put things back in again? Well, you know, but you have put a scratch, a mark. So now let's come to the interesting part. It's really a good puzzle. this will be quite handy to put the lens on. I mean, the rest of the lens. I will just check if the blades are fully open. Yeah. Well, let's see if it will work. So this plate has to come out. Okay, it's not that hard. So I just take up the small pin here with my tweezer. There's not much space around here, so just lift up the whole thing. Wow, that was smart. Clever. And there we have it. Wow. A lot of oil. Really a lot of oil. Mark the position of the where the system sits. Correct. Just to be sure, I will make another mark. This is quite handy because now I know where it goes. There's no need to scratch too much, but just a part of it. So, time for bars. In 99% Isopropylalcohol. Somebody might say, why not use ethanol? Well, I think it's difficult to get in touch with. So, a lot of oil. And the rest of the blades. You mark the orientation of the blades. Well, it cannot actually sit in one way, but just to be sure how the orientation is. A lot of sticky oil, and this will also be put in and have a shower. Let it stay for a moment. And you maybe think about, where did that oil actually come from? Well, it comes from the focusing system. And during the time and low temperature, high temperature, the oil or the grease will simply separate. So and where can it go? Well, only on the blades or in the aperture system. But how about the aperture system itself? Well, let's take a look. I will just use a cotton bud to take part of the shiny oil around here. So let's see. We have some small cotton buds. Oh, yeah, there's some oil. Oh, yeah, it is oil, of course. The isopropyl alcohol will let the oil evaporate, because it evaporates very fast and takes the oil film with, I mean, at least some of it. Just need to take some part of it away here. So now we are almost there. This actually looks okay. Now I need to clean dry the blades to get them in the system again. So really clean. Yeah, it looks fine. Some of the blade seems to have more oil than other, but I think it will work pretty good. Yeah. I think it's great fun to actually work with the Aperture system and get it back to life with a snappy aperture and get the correct exposure on the camera or in the camera. So we are almost there, and then the two other parts, and then back to it seems there's more oil on this. It's actually fine. Good. And then this ring, I actually don't know the name because I haven't found any repair manual for this particular lens. So that's why I make this film, which probably can help other. Hope so. Even if they are professional or just happy amateurs that like to repair cameras and lenses, but it's quite an interesting hobby. Well, just like new, almost. Put the lid on, and then now it's time to put things back in again, and just put on the blade. Doesn't matter where you start, just you will end up small here. No, just you know where it has to sit correct. It was the opposite direction. Maybe you note that. Come on. There. Just a tiny hair. I don't know where they come from, but sometimes they are just there. So, there's one more. And then the last one. And the last one has to be put in a different way than the other, because this blade will hold this blade out. So I can put this blade over here without drop it. Go away. So I need again this pushed out there and lift up a little. Come on. Sometimes it's not easy, but better do it over here. And lift it up. And we are there. Put the blades in position. That was it. Then this ring comes on. Where did it go? This pin has to go in this, well, yeah, you know what I mean. This gap. So it will be interesting to see if I have done it correct. There's a mark there, and the wow, that's really good. And now then I will put it back in again. Don't put the spring on yet. Yeah, it's not a problem. Then put the catch this with the tweezer and hold the whole system in your hand, and the pin goes into the hole, the long hole here. Where's my mark? It's there. Everything is correct. So it should just, come on. It should just go in. Sometimes it's not easy, but I'll give it another go. So we're almost there. Well, some of the blades didn't get into my pin there. Where's that bloody pin? Oh yeah, there.